Oftentimes, fans of Battle Shonen have a tendency to match up their favorite characters in universe against one another, or they cross universe to see how characters would stack up in hypothetical battles. And in the Naruto world, the fandom isn't any different, especially when it comes to pitting characters from the Naruto sequel, Boruto Naruto Next Generations, against characters from the parent series, Naruto, which is why in today's Naruto Explained video, I wanted to take a look at one matchup that a surprising number of fans actually believe is a close fight, when in reality, this fight isn't anywhere near as close as they think it is, which is Sakura versus Delta, the battle of two women with some of the most violent tempers that we have in the entire Naruto franchise. So upon first glance, you can see why there are so many people who are intrigued with Sakura versus Delta. From the moment we learn about Delta's destructive eye beams being able to destroy the body on a cellular level, people immediately thought about Sakura because her Byakugo seal and the ability to regenerate rapidly without the need to weave any type of hand seals, but with so many people thinking it's a hard counter to Delta's jutsu. However, as we'll see here, assuming that we go with the explanation being the case, that she's a hard counter to that specific jutsu of Delta's, this is not a close fight, not in the way that many people think it is. So the way we're going to approach this hypothetical is going to be the same way I've done with videos with Sasuke versus Madara and Naruto versus Hashirama. I'll lay out all the relevant information for each of these characters, and then I'll walk through a brief hypothetical battle situation, which again isn't a close fight. So we'll start things off with Delta, since she's going to be the most controversial of these two combatants in this video, which says a lot because Sakura herself is highly controversial as a figure in this fandom, and it's actually ironic because Delta's scaling is actually pretty straightforward. Up first, we have Delta, the cyborg clone of Amado's daughter Akibi. She was formidable enough of an opponent that she fought against Six Pass Naruto in its chakra mode while Naruto was holding back, trying to capture her alive. We see that her body was able to withstand his lava release Rasen Shuriken when she used those leg extensions of hers, and she put up a valiant fight. Even while suppressed Six Pass Sage Mode Naruto is still stronger than 99.999995% of the entire planet itself, something that a lot of people don't give Naruto credit for. During the fight, she was able to push Naruto to the point of exerting so much chakra and effort that the guy was panting in exhaustion, and even after he falls over after defeating her, he declares that yes, he was holding back while fighting against her. He also says in the same sentence he's not confident, as if defeating her would have been easier if he had been fighting with killing intent, which is a pretty huge statement to make, and that's a strong implication that Delta is a lot stronger than the fandom gives her credit for. After she was further modified by Amado, she's shown that she's able to produce enough actual power to stun Code with a direct hit, though it is worth noting this is not Code who has his limiters removed and has that emo white hair appearance, and this is also Code who is not using his Karma Seal, so that was only base Code. And given that Boruto's anime and manga strongly implied that Code was stronger than Boro and Delta, this shows that there's a really big increase to Delta's body in the time since Amado made those additional modifications to her. Back when he was telling Sumire that he was making somebody that would be a really good, strong ally to Konoha. But that's going more so into the hypotheticals, trying to see exactly how far Amado would have taken her. We'll just focus on what we've actually seen. Though you can say for argument's sake that Amado wouldn't have upgraded Delta's body to a point where she would not be able to fight Code with the Karma Seal and not actually defeat Code with his limbers removed, since that would be something Amado's trying to prevent. So at the very least, he would have upgraded Delta's body to where she could keep up with Code using the Karma Seal. But again, that's an assumption, and we'll stay away from assumptions and just look at what we know for certain. Now, her dojutsu allows her to absorb chakra-based attacks and fire them back out stronger than before, as seen when she was able to absorb Naruto's Rasengan. She's also able to make those wooden extensions out of her leg that are sharp enough to penetrate Naruto, even when he has his six-pass cubic cloak cut on. Her most dangerous power is her eye beams, which can destroy the body on a cellular level and are powerful enough that they can checkmate even a Jinchuriki's regen ability, and are at least strong enough that Naruto had to use a Rasengan in order to tank one of them. Delta also has body modifications that turn her body, in particular her legs, into rockets, which she can use for speed increase as well as to fly through the air. Delta doing having the same microscopic ninja tech that Kawaki and Code possess, is able to modify her flesh of her body for multiple purposes like extensions, as we see what Kawaki and Code use. So it stands to reason, just as Kawaki Kawaki can fire out chakra blasts, it's likely that Delta has the same capability, but given how we see her fighting, with her fighting style being more focused on close quarters combat, in particular with quick leg strikes, it would be out of character for her to use this method, particularly since we see that her eyes have been remodeled with ninja tech, so she can fire out the chakra beams that can destroy the body on a molecular level. However, as Naruto tells us, Delta using that jutsu consumes a ton of her chakra, so it's not something that she can spam for a super long time. Delta also possesses the ability to absorb ninjutsu, something that viewers and readers of the Naruto series are probably still upset that this aspect of Naruto's manga is still being made relevant, though it is worth noting the ninja tech inside of her body only allows her to absorb but only so much chakra, with Naruto pushing himself to the brink of exhaustion, releasing a controlled steady flow of chakra via his giant Rasengan to overload Delta, which is another thing. Just like Kawaki, if her body is pushed too far in combat, the ninja tech inside of her body will overheat and cause her to shut down until the cooldown period is over. So now that we got Delta out the way, let's look at Sakura, Sasuke's baby mama, and the character that fans of the Naruto series, they either love her or they hate her. With Sakura, there's this knee-jerk reaction of fans that say that she hasn't surpassed Tsunade in power, when we have evidence from Naruto's manga symbolically showing us that this isn't the case, and we also literally have statements made that confirms that this isn't the case, and it's actually supported by things we see in the manga. So we have both statements as well as manga scans, and we have multiple other official source materials that tell us otherwise. If you're still saying Sakura's weaker than Tsunade at this point, that's cope. So on a symbolic side, we know that it's implied that Sakura surpassed Tsunade during the reformation of Team 7, when they each did that new three-way deadlock summoning jutsu after Sasuke showed up in the war when they were fighting against the Ten-Tails. However, on top of Tsunade herself acknowledging Sakura surpassed her in the Sakura Hiden Love Right in the Spring Breeze story set right after the Ninja War, Tsunade is a pretty big, reliable narrator when it comes to her own power, so those words do hold weight. There's actual evidence in Naruto's manga that supports Tsunade's assertion about Sakura as well, that we have to go over so we can establish where the power of Adult Sakura is. So her raw power was enough to make Naruto have a moment where he said he refused to piss Sakura off ever again when she first unleashed that Byakugo seal, and it made the eternally emo Sasuke crack a smile when he saw her power up and she destroyed a chunk of those Jubi clones. And in that moment, Sasuke said, "That's the one I'm putting my baby in." And we also have the fourth Naruto databook statement that says that she caught up with EMS Sasuke in KCM 1.5 Naruto, with the fourth databook being the official source material written by Masashi Kishimoto for Naruto volumes 44 through 72. And before someone says, "But bruh, the databooks, they use hyperbole," this isn't a hyperbole statement, and the wording of the databook makes it clear that this is not the case. This is not some wonky translation that people tend to nitpick, like the databooks say that Tamari is universal and it says that Kinshiki can split a planet, because we still have people to this day who do not realize Japanese to English does not translate word for word, and it's super context heavy, and the words universal and planet aren't literal, and they're only in reference to all things made in nature. Are there times where the databooks are referring to a literal universe? Yes, not in those instances. Now, this initial release of the Byakugo seal, having Sakura stated by Kishimoto's own writing and the databook to be on the same level as KCM1 Naruto and EMS Sasuke, is a really big deal, because that in itself puts her directly over Tsunade, because that version of Naruto, that version of Sasuke, is significantly stronger than Tsunade, which also means, by extension, that Sakura is stronger than the 5 Kage who fought against Madara, because as Madara tells us, Tsunade with the Byakugo seal is the strongest of the 5 Kage despite being the slowest. However, as we'll go over, Sakura would continue to get bumps in power as the story progressed via those continued increases of chakra that she gets from the Byakugo seal after it's been stabilized, and the mental amps that she gets in power, with Sakura between the events of Sasuke returning to the battlefield and her unleashing the Byakugo seal all the way until the events of Naruto Volume 71 where Kage is defeated. Sakura gets several insane mental amps. It's important to remember that chakra is used for more than just jutsu, or in the case of Sakura performing medical ninjutsu, chakra is also used to boost up stats of a person, assuming they have enough chakra to be afforded the leisure of performing ninjutsu instead of having chakra left over to amp up their stats. And before someone says, "But bruh, you know, chakra doesn't necessarily mean power levels, this isn't Dragon Ball," I will remind you, go back to Naruto Volume 71 when Sasuke and Naruto sensed Kaguya coming out out of Madara Uchiha's body. They directly measure her power level directly by her chakra levels. She hadn't performed any ninjutsu, she hadn't thrown a punch or anything. They just sense her chakra and they immediately say she's stronger than Madara. This is not the first instance where chakra being measured has been used to directly scale somebody in proportion to their overall power. Now, we also have a classic example of chakra being used to amp up physical stats, where if you go back to the arm wrestling episode where you had Tsunade wrestling with the Raikage, she explains that she uses additional chakra to boost up her physical strength, whereas the Raikage uses chakra to boost up his speed. Kakashi in the manga uses quite a bit of his own chakra to boost up his stamina so he can continue to use the Sharingan when he removes his headband, because not being Uchiha, he's not able to cut it off and he's not able to handle the strain from using the Sharingan because he doesn't have a body that can naturally use it. Hence, he has to use chakra to substitute for his stamina. All that chakra being stored into a seal and beginning to flow outward is a bigger deal than a lot of people give credit for. This same Sakura is shown using Katsuyu to heal the Shinobi Alliance, and when she's using the power of Katsuyu, it's directly linked to the chakra levels of the person who summons her. She's early on being compared to Tsunade in her skill level, and this is after Sakura not only participated in battles in the manga prior to this, but then was also healing Shinobi non-stop throughout the first day of the Ninja War at night and part of the second day of the Ninja War before she rejoined the battlefield right before Sasuke arrived on the battlefield itself. Sakura was not only in the ninjutsu medical unit, Sakura was also in Kakashi's unit for the first part of the Ninja War. She didn't switch over to Shizune's unit until nighttime. However, Sakura gets even stronger following this moment, because we learned that when she said that her Byakugo seal was completed, that was basically like Frieza from the Dragon Ball manga saying that his fourth form was his final form, and then we learned that there's a 100% version of the same final form that brings his power a lot closer to Super Saiyan Goku than he was ever before. So it's the same thing here at Sakura. She has the Byakugo seal form on her head, she has some of the chakra lines shown, but we also see that there's another gear and power that Sakura has available to her. So at this point, we might need a "this ain't even my final form" meme for Sakura. We see further in Naruto Volume 71 a major revelation that the manga makes in the story, which is that Obito states that in order to enter an Hokage's time-space dimension, it requires an enormous amount of chakra, something that Sasuke confirms for us when he's complaining in Naruto Gaiden about how it takes an enormous amount of chakra to explore Kage's dimensions. Naruto's six-pass Sage Mode chakra cloak that also had Hagoromo's six-pass chakra into it. Naruto's using 2 shadow clones at this point, and Obito tells that super souped up Naruto that despite his chakra only being split up 3 different ways between his 2 shadow clones and his main body, that the shadow clone he's speaking to does not have enough chakra to open up the portal to Kage's dimension. But when Sakura offers to unleash her fully unleashed Byakugo seal, Obito says it meets the requirement, which is insane when you think of just how much chakra 1/3 of six-pass Naruto actually is. This Sakura is crap. To call this a victim of Naruto's war, drastically ramping up the power levels of characters overnight, sure, you can call it that if you want to, but the lore is still the lore. This Sakura was not only able to break off Kage's horn, but also hit her so hard that the force of the attack breaks her horn in half in the manga, and is strong enough that it causes bruises on her cheek on the opposite side just from the shockwaves of the attack. This is even more impressive when you consider that the same Kaguya is literally stated by Zetsu right before this to have powered up and gotten exponentially stronger than she was before, with Kaguya prior to this statement being made being durable enough that Naruto, who has now split his chakra amongst 8 shadow clones and himself in order to perform that massive Rasen Shuriken Biju power amp attack. Using all the Kekkei Genkai and powers of the 9 Biju, Kaguya survives that attack without any major scratches, and despite what some people will tell you, she did not absorb the Rasen Shuriken attacks because you can see the impact explosions in the manga. And because Naruto's chakra split between 8 shadow clones in his main body, that lines up with Obito's statement of her having more chakra than 1/3 of six-pass Naruto. Yet Sakura is able to snap the horn and she hurts Kaguya down to her soul. This was not an off-guard feat. We literally see Kaguya have an exclamation point right above her head, and the Byakugan is activated, so she knew Sakura was coming, and Sakura's too large to be inside of that blind spot above the third vertebrae of the Byakugan user. But Sakura's full-powered hit did that level of damage to Kage. Yes, Kage is flying away from Naruto and Sasuke and desperate not to get caught in the six-pass Shibaku Tensei, but she was fully aware that Sakura's coming from her from the sky, like Thor from Infinity War saying he's coming for Thanos. Even if you just hate Sakura, you can't deny this is impressive. Now, once we get past the war arc, Naruto and Sasuke aren't the only ones who continue training following the battle with Kaguya. We know from the official guidebook for Naruto the Last and the movie novelization that Sakura had managed to keep pace with Naruto and Sasuke, while both were clearly stronger than her during the war arc and after the war arc. If, say, Naruto stayed at a 10 and Sasuke was a 9 and Sakura was a 6. When you go to those versions, those characters during the 4th Ninja War in volume 71 and 72, and let's say they all increase their power levels by 3. So a 13 for Naruto, a 12 for Sasuke, and a 9 for Sakura. That's still progressing at the same rate despite the others being stronger. Tsunade again makes it a point to literally state that Sakura has surpassed her in both power and medical ninjutsu ability and knowledge, with her saying that Sakura now has a knowledge of medical ninjutsu that has surpassed her own. And by the events of Naruto chapter 700, we know from the 4th Naruto databook that Sakura has mastered earth and water release, and sometime after she married Sasuke, she underwent the change in chakra nature drill training for fire release, because we see her perform fire release during the events of Sasuke wrestling the Uchiha in the Heavenly Stardust, in a scene that was cut out of the anime version and the manga version of the story. By the event of Naruto the Last, Kakashi had recognized her skill to the point where she was one of the only 2 people that he promoted to the rank of Jonin officially, with Shikamaru being the other one. But Kakashi considers Sakura the 3rd strongest asset in the village in regards to active shinobi. So that includes Might Guy, that includes Rock Lee. The only people Kakashi considered stronger than Sakura were Naruto and Sasuke. By the events of Naruto Gaiden, we also know that this Sakura has leveled up in skill as well. Just given that we know Sakura continued training following the Ninja War like the Boruto Kage, even if you consider this version of Sakura from Naruto volume 71 to be the indomitable fighting spirit version of Sakura, 14 years of training by the events of Naruto Gaiden is a very long period in time. She would have surpassed that, or at the very least, because it was a mental amp. Usually when characters are given mental amps, it's a highlight of their hidden potential, and they eventually reach that. It should also be worth noting that due to her taking a page out of her sensei Tsunade's book, any chakra that is available to her is often used to amp her physical stats, in particular power, at the expense of amping up her speed. But as we see in the battle with Shin Uchiha, she's more than capable of holding her own with someone who has the advanced ocular perception of the Mangekyo Sharingan, including a better use of the Sharingan Aya Insight, which can predict movements. Yet she's matching taijutsu blows while only in her base, not using any Byakugo sealed chakra to amp her stats even further. Boruto era Sakura also has a sensory jutsu that she can use via her chakra control, where she can run her chakra through solid objects and the area to make out the positions of her enemy and details about the area itself, similar to what you saw with Tobirama, where he places his finger on the ground in the first Ninja War to find out how many shinobi are tracking him before Tobirama gets killed. But this is in a bigger scope, and we see Sakura perform this jutsu in the Sasuke wrestling the Uchiha in the Heavenly Stardust story, which also this scene was shown in the manga version of the story as well. As for a hypothetical battle itself goes, you have 2 fighters who mostly rely on taijutsu, and normally someone like Sakura, you'd argue that she just needs one clean hit at full power with her Byakugo seal completely charged up and active, where you see those chakra lines running all the way down her face and across her body, that she can just blow somebody's head off. However, the problem here is that Sakura, just in the raw power sense, doesn't go up high enough that she's going to be able to pull off that measure of damage on Delta. A big thing that we have to factor in is that Masashi Kishimoto warned us back in 2016 that the Boruto manga was going to be making a shift in focus in how it expressed power, doing so in a different way because of how powerful the Naruto cast got, and is worried that it will overshadow the children and the villains being even stronger than the ones we had prior. prior, which that's a reference to the Naruto manga. That's why instead of you seeing power being shown in the form of destructive capabilities where someone like Sakura punches the ground when she gets upset in Naruto Gaiden and doesn't use her full power, and she shatters the ground in the area, destroys her house to the point she shatters the foundation of the house despite not directly striking it with the hit. That's why you don't see the area destruction where the background shows the damage done to a lot of attacks that are being shown. Even when Naruto uses like a Rasen Shuriken or something like that, you don't see these giant shockwaves and everything that destroy entire mountains and trees and etc. Power is being contained and displayed via attack potency more than anything else. So getting back to it though, Sakura has gotten stronger than she was in the war. She's gotten a lot stronger than she was in the war, but she isn't on a level where using the full Byakugo seal, she'd be able to force 6 past Naruto to use that much effort in taijutsu to subdue her. And she doesn't have the speed to keep up with the suppressed 6 pass chakra mode Naruto the same way that Delta did. When we saw them collide, we saw a controlled shockwave as a testament to their skill in controlling the output of their damage, and she had enough stamina to push Naruto to a point where Naruto's huffing and puffing and sucking up air, which is not something we can make the assumption for with Sakura. The other edge that Delta has over Sakura is that she has those extensions with her legs that are able to pierce Naruto's chakra shroud and increase the reach like crazy, which allows her the opportunity to attack from a distance, as we saw in the Boruto anime when Delta destroys Boruto's cult's church. She's able to fly through the air and shoot off those destructive eye beams from the sky as well, which, given Sakura doesn't have any long-range jutsu, the most she's going to be able to do is pick up chunks of the ground and throw it at Delta, or she can summon Katsuyu to shoot off that acid at her, and if she jumps into the air to attack her, those modifications to Delta's body just allow her to fly out the way the moment that Sakura's in the air. Delta avoids the attack and hits her with those destructive eye beams, and Sakura, being midair, unable to fly, has no way to avoid the attack damage itself. And considering those beams destroy the body on a molecular level and Sakura's regen repairs the cells, I'm of the belief personally that those beams would prevent her cells from getting repaired, because those beams are just outright destroying the cells. In my opinion, Delta just has way too many win conditions. She's faster than Sakura, she's stronger than Sakura, she can fight from a distance, which Sakura can't do, and Sakura really doesn't have any long-range jutsu to help her if the fight turns into a distance fight. Personally, I think Delta wins this regardless, as if this is a taijutsu fight or she busts out the eye beams. However, I am curious to know who you guys think would actually win this fight.